Hi guys! Hi everyone! Today we are going to talk about tenses. Magic of tenses, right? Why magic? Well, because it's like really hard, right? And well, lots of people think that, I don't know, it's some kind of magic, right? To understand which tense we should use in this or that situation. Today we're going to, well, delete all of that, right? Like Control A and delete. That's it, right? Because tenses are not magic at all, right? They have their own rules, they have structure, and I wouldn't say they're easy, right? Because, well, for a Russian speaker, um, there are a lot of them, right? So let's get together and let's get familiar with all of them with usage and forms. I will not promise you that this is going to be easy. I will not promise you that this is going to be short because it is not, right? I will try mm, to do this in 90 minutes, but if I can't, please forgive me. Okay? All right. Right, before we do that, right? Right. Okay, this is me, right? For those of you who are not familiar with me, who don't know me, who haven't watched any of our videos yet, I'm a senior methodologist and teacher at the online school Учёба.ру. There are a few facts here about me, but the most important thing to know about me is that I'm absolutely in love with the English language and I love sharing it with other people. So I can speak for a very long time about this language, about different aspects of it, and today we're focusing on tenses, not only about me, but also about our beautiful school, right? We have 12,000 graduates, right, who passed YG and OG with the help of our school, and 4,200 of those students got 80 plus at their exams. That is absolutely amazing because our teachers are absolutely amazing too, right? Not only me, but all of these beautiful girls and guys, by the way, we have guys too. They're not here in the photos, but they're beautiful too. And what else is important? Right, we have guaranteed entrance to university if you do everything we ask of you, right? We also have progress checks every month so that you will understand where you are, where you stand, and where you're going. And different level groups in the English language groups, especially because, well, we all start from different points in our lives, right? And it's important for us to differentiate between, I don't know, level, uh, between low level and high level, right? And focus on different things, right? So we all study the whole structure of the exam, but we just focus on things that are a little bit different, right? Somewhere more in details, somewhere more on basic rules, right? And all of that. Right, guys, we are ready, right? We're ready to start with the most simple tense. Everyone starts with it, present simple, right? Or present indefinite, whichever one you like more. So the most popular function of present simple is to express habitual actions, right? Habitual actions are actions that you do every day or every month or every year. You do them regularly, right? Let's have a look at examples. I usually feel nervous before an exam. Feel here is in the form of present simple, right? She always has eggs for breakfast. Again, both of these actions are habitual actions, right? It's not like it's my habit to feel nervous before an exam, right? Nobody, I think, wants to make it their habit, but, well, that's what usually happens, right? Usually and always are very cool time markers. I always say that we shouldn't rely on time markers when we decide to when we decide which tense to use, but usually and always are pretty good here in present simple. They usually mean that we need present simple. But of course there are some details and we will get to them. Okay, one more function to state facts and general truths. What does that mean? Well, with examples, it's easier, right? 1. Water boils at 100 degrees. Boils, present simple, right? And that is what happens all the time, right? Water boils at 100 degrees all the time. If you heat it up to 100 degrees, it has no choice but to boil, right? That's a fact. That is always true. That's why we need present simple here. The earth goes round the sun. Number 2. For those of you who don't know that fact, it is pretty cool, right? The earth goes round the sun every time, right? It doesn't have any choice. It can't go anywhere else. That is just a general truth about our world, right? That is why we need present simple here. Moving on. To say how often things happen, right? I go to the gym 3 times a week. 3 times a week is, well, how often we do something, right? I go on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm very sporty, right? I go to the gym 3 times a week. He wakes up at 7 a.m. every day, right? Every day is also about frequency, how often something happens. And he wakes up, that's present simple. Right, guys, all of this is pretty clear, and I'm sure that everyone knows this, right? There is one more function of present simple, which is, it's also obvious, but sometimes students don't know this, so we're going to stop here for a while. With verbs which perform the action they describe. Sounds a bit complicated, but if you look at examples, it's going to become easier, right? Let's have a look at them. I promise I will be on time. Promise is here in present simple. Why? Because this is one of those verbs which performs the action that it describes, right? So when we say, I promise I will be on time, we don't have to say anything else, right? Because we have already promised, right? So this verb actually tells us what we're doing, right? And in this case, we need present simple. Number 2, we apologize for being late, right? Apologize is also a verb like that, right? So we don't need to say sorry after we say we apologize for being late, because that verb already described the action that it performs, right? We apologize for being late. So promise or apologize or, I don't know, suggest is also one of those verbs, right? With these verbs, we use present simple, even if the action is happening right now at this particular moment, because with verbs which perform the action they describe, we need present simple. Hope you got it, guys. We're moving on to forms. Right, so you can see 2 columns here. Why? Well, because I'm very tired of correcting mistakes, right, on the verb to be, because everybody is always mixing up to be with all the other verbs. So I divided them into 2 columns to help you understand that they are very, very different, right? To be is just a verb, just like any other verb, but very, very special, right? So with to be, we have some particular forms in present simple, am, are, and is, right? And all the other verbs don't need the verb to be to form present simple. So I'm promise is very, very wrong, right? I promise is correct, right? So with other verbs, we just need the form, the basic form of the verb with I, you, we, and they. And we just need to add s or es with he, she, it. And that's it, right? No be here. Other verbs are like all the other verbs, right? Like, I don't know, play, suggest, promise, do, whatever, right? All the other verbs are here in the second column. With be in negative sentences, we are just adding not to the verb to be, am, are, or is, right? But with other verbs, we need auxiliary verbs. Wspomagательные глаголы, right? Do or does. Do with I, you, with they, and does with he, she, and it, right? Plus, of course, we add not, right? Our negative particle, I do not promise anything. You do not do something. He does not like something, right? And please also notice that we are using the first form of the verb, the basic form of the verb, without s or es in negative sentences, right? Because do or does already telling us everything we need to know, right, about this sentence. Okay, and questions. With the verb to be, we're putting the verb to be first and then everything else, right? So the verb to be plus our subject plus whatever you want to put there, right? Am I happy, right? Are you okay? Is he insane, right? Whatever. And with other verbs, just like in negative sentences, we need do or does to form the question. And we put it first, right? Do I want to go somewhere? Do we like playing the guitar? Does he want to go somewhere, right? Just putting do or does first, then our subject, then everything else. Okay? Right, hope we got it, guys, because whew, let's move on to present continuous. Right, here is some picture for you. Maybe it will help you understand it better. In this picture, there's a girl, right? And the girl is singing right now, right? So we can see that she is singing right at this moment, right? In the picture. So to denote an action happening at the moment of speaking, we're using present continuous, right? She is singing right now. Is singing is our present continuous. What about some other functions? Present continuous is not only for actions that are happening right at this second, right? So, right, this one. To denote an action that started not long ago and hasn't finished yet. What does it mean? Let's have a look at examples. Somebody's on the phone, right? So we're speaking to, I don't know, our friend, for example. Our friend is asking, what are you doing right now? They're asking that question in present continuous because, well, they're asking about what we're doing right this second. This question is actually a little bit stupid, right? If we think about it, because, well, I'm talking to you right now, right? But that is if we think about the first function, right? To denote an action happening at the moment of speaking. If present continuous had only that function, we would never hear this question. What are you doing right now? Because it's obvious I'm talking to you, right? I'm answering the phone. But present continuous also has another function. In this case, oh, I'm watching a movie. I'm not watching a movie right this second, right? Because I'm talking to you right now. I can't be doing two actions at the same time, right? We can't. We want to, but we can't, guys. So, I'm watching a movie means that I was watching a movie before you called. I'm probably going to do that after I hang up, right? And well, that's what we mean, right? We're watching a movie in this particular period of time, but not right this second. Yeah. Another example here could be, I don't know, you're discussing something with your friend, right? And you remember a book that you're reading right now, right? In your spare time, not this second, but just in general, right? I don't know, you read it last night, you're going to read it tomorrow night, and I don't know, every time you have a spare second, you're reading that book. So, and you want to make an example, right? So, like, you say, Mary, I'm reading a book right now, and there is a character that has the same problem as you, right? I'm reading a book right now doesn't mean that you're reading a book while you're talking to that person, right? It just means that in this particular time, right, indefinite time, right, we don't know when you started, we don't know when you're going to finish it, right, but in this general period of time, you're reading a book, right? So two different functions here, guys. One, an action that is happening right now, this second, right? I am talking to you, or an action that happens in a very general period of time, right? I'm reading a book right now. I'm reading a book not this second, but in this general period of time. Okay, hope we got it. Moving on. To express a temporary action, right? That is also an amazing function of present continuous To say that something is only temporary, we can use present continuous. For example, usually we work at the office. Work is in present simple, right? Because we have usually, right? Usually we work at the office, but this month I'm working from home. Am working is present continuous, right? Because this action is only temporary. All the time we work at the office. That is our habit. But this month is very different from usually, right? I'm working from home. We are expressing a temporary action here, guys. Okay, one more. To describe a changing situation. Right, what does it mean? Changing situation. Well, when we want to describe a process of change, we can also use present continuous. For example, at first I didn't like this course, but I'm beginning to enjoy it now. Right? I'm still like, I can't fully say that I enjoy it, but I'm beginning to enjoy it now, right? I'm in the process of change, right? A same example could be made about our written statements, right? There, a lot of students like to start with nowadays. A lot of people are, I don't know, trying to lead a healthy lifestyle, right? Something like that. Again, we are describing a process of change, right? Before it was, I don't know, popular not to eat healthy food and something like that, right? But nowadays, a lot of people are trying to lead a healthy lifestyle. It's a process of change. And we want to underline that with present continuous. Okay, and right, the last one. Last but not least, guys, this is extremely cool, I think. It's a cool function of present continuous to express an emotional attitude, right? The emotion can be positive, but it is more popular to use it in a negative emotion. For example, if I'm annoyed by something you do, I use present continuous. For example, you're always taking my things. I hate it, right? And here we can also see always, which is usually a time marker for present simple, right? But in this case, it's annoying. So I'm using present continuous. You are taking my things. I hate it. Present continuous here makes this sentence sound more emotional. That's why we use it here. So of course we can also say, you always take my things. But we can't say I hate it after that, because that is just a fact, right? You always take my things. Okay, right? But if we want to say that we hate it, it's annoying, it's bugging us, we will use present continuous. You're always taking my things. I hate it, right? And second example, why are you constantly yelling at me, right? Again, we are annoyed because this person is yelling at us all the time, right? Anybody would be annoyed. So, right, again, we use present continuous to express our negative emotion. Okay, forms. Right, so forms are pretty simple, but you do need to remember the verb to be, right? Because depending on the subject, we will use a different form of the verb to be, right? If our subject is I, we would use am. If our subject is he, she, it, we would use is. And if our subject is they, we, and you, we would use are, right? But everywhere we would use verb plus ing, right? I am playing, you are going, he's doing, and so on, right? In negative sentences, we just add not to the mix, and that's it, right? Not to be, and then again, verb ing. In our questions, we don't need any additional auxiliary verbs, but we do need to put to be first, right? So am, is, or are, again, depending on the subject, plus our subject, plus verb ing. Okay, and we're done with present continuous. Guys, for a while, we are going to past simple, right? Present perfect is going to be here, but a little bit later, okay? So past simple. To describe an action in the past is, of course, the most popular way to use past simple. He visited his grandma yesterday, right? Yesterday is our time marker for past simple. I had a meeting with my boss the other day. The other day is not as popular, but also very cool time marker. The other day means, it could mean the same thing as yesterday, right? But when we say the other day, we don't really remember which day it happened. Like, did it happen on Monday or on Tuesday? Like, I can't remember. So we just say the other day. Or maybe it just doesn't matter, right? When it happened, when particularly it happened, the yesterday or the day before that. So we just say the other day. I had a meeting with my boss the other day. Okay, one more. To describe a repeated action in the past. A repeated action in the past is an action that, well, happened not once, but several times, right? But also in the past. He had eggs for breakfast every day when he was a child, right? Every day, but when he was a child, so that's in the past, we need past simple. They went to Greece every summer before the pandemic. Again, every summer is a repeated action in the past, and we need past simple. A sequence of actions in the past. What does it mean? Why is it different from repeated actions? Well, in a sequence of actions, we want to show that one action happened after the other, right? And after the other, and so on. He brushed his teeth, then opened the window and went to bed, right? So if we use past simple in all three of these verbs, we will get a sequence, right? One after the other. First, he brushed, then he opened, and then he went, right? We visited a museum, got something to eat, and went home. Again, all the actions happened one after another in a sequence, guys. Okay, time markers for past simple. Yesterday, we've already met it right here. The other day, again, last night, last week, guys, basically anything with last is about past simple, right? Last month, last year, whatever. In 1999, when we have particular year in the past or a particular date in the past, on the 22nd of October, that's also in the past. And ago, that's also about past simple, right? All of these time markers mean that something happened in the past and finished in the past and stayed in the past, right? So we need to use past simple with all of these time markers. Okay, moving on. Forms, right? In positive sentences, we use ed with regular verbs and the second form with irregular verbs. Guys, with irregular verbs, you just have to remember all those beautiful forms, right? Unfortunately, the most popular method of doing that is just looking straight at the table and trying to remember all of them. But there are better ways, of course. Nowadays, there are like an excessive amount of apps that will help you learn them in a better way, right? In a fun way, in a game way. So just Google them and you will find several apps that will help you learn irregular verbs more effectively, right? With, I don't know, pictures, games, and pronunciation, examples, everything that you need. Negative sentences. Subject plus our auxiliary verb did plus, not plus, guys. Be very careful here. The first form of the verb, the base form of the verb, right? We don't need to add ed or to change the form into the second one in negative sentences, right? Because did already tells us, guys, this is about the past, right? And in questions, we just put did before everything else, then our subject, then the first form of the verb, right? Did you arrive at the airport in time for your flight, right? Did you arrive, not arrived, yeah? Again, in negative sentences and in questions, we don't need to change the form of the verb. We just use the auxiliary did. Okay, moving on to past continuous. All right, guys, past continuous is a tense that can mean the same thing as present continuous, but in the past, right? So it's an action that was happening at some particular time in the past. So if we look at the picture here, we can say that, I don't know, Jack and Bill were playing football at the beach from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. yesterday, a particular time in the past, right? And we want to stress that it was a process, right? Let's have a look at all of our functions. To denote an action happening at a particular moment in the past, like our guys playing football at the beach, right? One more example. I was writing my essay from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. yesterday, right? Again, a particular time in the past. I was in the middle of an action. They were swimming at 3 p.m. yesterday. Again, a particular time in the past, a particular moment in the past, and I was in the middle of an action. They were in the middle of swimming at 3 p.m. yesterday, right? We want to stress that at that particular time in the past, they were in the middle of a process. But that's not the only function, right? Together with past simple, we can denote a longer action. For example, everybody was watching TV when I came home. When we say it like that, we understand that I came home and everybody was in the middle of their action, right? They were watching TV before I came in, and they will probably continue doing that after I came in, right? So everybody was watching is a longer action together with past simple to describe a process, right? When we were walking home, we met my friend Amy. Again, we were walking home. That's past continuous, and that is a longer process, right? Sometimes we use this combination of tenses, past continuous and past simple, to denote that one action interrupted another action, right? So there was a long action. We were walking home, and at some point, we met my friend, right? That was a shorter action which interrupted our process. Okay, moving on to denote two simultaneous processes. That can also happen. While I was doing my homework, my dad was working in the garage. Guys, sorry, I'm not sure if there is a problem. Let's just stop for maybe a second. I will check if everything is okay, all right? Okay, guys, sorry, I am back. Not sure what happened there, but I hope everything works and you can see me, the presentation, and everything that you want to, right? Okay, so to denote two simultaneous processes, we can also use past continuous, right? While I was doing my homework, my dad was working in the garage, right? Both of these processes were happening simultaneously, right? They were both long and, well, we just want to describe two simultaneous processes, right? Happening at the same time. I was eating my breakfast while my mom was singing in the shower. Why not, right? Some soundtrack to your breakfast, right? Again, two actions happening at the same time, two processes, right? In the past. That's also past continuous. And guys, the last function, but again, last but not least, to describe a background action. When we're telling stories, we use past continuous to describe something in the background. For example, the sun was shining, the birds were singing, and we felt happy for the first time in a long time, right? So the main idea here is that we felt happy for the first time in a long time. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. That is just the background to our main action in the story, right? Again, in stories, past continuous is usually to describe a background action. You can meet it in like lots of novels, beautiful stories, and all that, right? For time markers, from to yesterday or from to any other day in the past, right? That is usually for past continuous because if we say from and to, I don't know, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., right? We want to stress a particular time in the past, right? And if we do it like that, then maybe we want to underline the process. This time last year, or this time last month, or last week, or whatever, right? This time sometime in the past, that is usually for past continuous. While or when are also good time markers for past continuous because with them we can combine past continuous with past simple, right? Like in our example, when we interrupted an action, right? While we were walking, we met my friend. Or to combine it with another action in past continuous, while I was doing my homework, my dad was doing something else, right? Okay, past continuous is done. Any questions here, guys? If you have any, please do write them in the chat. We are moving on to, right, I didn't tell you the forms, guys. All right, let's have a look at them. Of course, past continuous is very similar to present continuous in forms, right? We have verb ing everywhere, right? Everywhere. Can you see them, right? Everywhere. But in present continuous, we use am, is, are, right? The present forms of the verb to be. In past continuous, we just use the past forms of the verb to be, right? Was for I, he, she, and it, and were for all the other pronouns. You, we, and they, right? This time last year, I was staying with my friend, right? And this time last year is our time marker, right? I was staying with my friend. She called them when they were having tea, right? And when, again, our time marker, right? She interrupted their process of having tea, right? She called was a shorter action. They were having tea for a longer time period, right? In negative sentences, we just add not to the mix, just like in present continuous, right? I smiled at him, but he wasn't looking, right? Was not or wasn't. It wasn't raining when we left for our walk. Wasn't raining. Past continuous. And in questions, again, we don't need any additional auxiliaries. We just put was or were first, then our subject, and then verb ing. Were you having dinner when I called? Was he sleeping when you came home? Right? Okay, now I think that's it about past continuous, and we're moving on to another interesting tense. This is extremely cool if you know it. If you don't, it's a nightmare. Right, so let's get familiar with it, guys. We have a scared person here on the slide. Let's call him, I don't know, T, right? He's going to be T. Oh, no, sorry, he's Jeremy. He already has a name, Dana, right? Jeremy. Jeremy is looking for his phone. He can't find it now in the present. We can say he has lost his phone because he lost it in the past. Maybe yesterday, maybe this morning, maybe 5 minutes ago. We don't know when, but this action happened in the past, right? He lost it, and now he can't find it. He doesn't have it. So that's our result. Present perfect is about results in the present, right? A connection to the present. When something happened in the past, but we can see the result right here, right now in front of us as day, right? That is present perfect. He has lost his phone, right? He lost it in the past. We can see the result now. He doesn't have his phone. He's scared, sweating, and poor Jeremy, right? Okay. Past actions that have results in the present. Just like our Jeremy has a result that, well, he doesn't have his phone anymore, right? He has lost his phone and now he can't pay for his dinner and call a taxi home. What's he going to do? I have no idea. Good luck, Jeremy, right? An action or state that started in the past and continues in the present. Guys, that is also present perfect if we don't want to stress the process of things, right? For example, my parents have lived in this house since 1993. They still live in this house. They lived in this house in 1993 and in 1994 and in 1995. And I'm not going to, of course, enumerate all those years, but that is an action that they started doing in 1993 and they still do, right? Or I've been busy lately. Lately is also about something starting in the past and still happening, right? So maybe I was busy yesterday and I am busy now, right? I've been busy lately. That is also present perfect. Okay? One more, life experiences, right? This is my favorite one, and this is very popular for present perfect, right? I have never been to the States. Have never been is present perfect. Why do we use present perfect for life experiences? Well, because again, it is something that started in the past and is still true for us, right? I didn't go to the States yesterday, the day before that, and 3 years ago, and I still haven't been there, right? That is my life experience. It is very popular for traveling experiences, right? In our second example, we also have experience about traveling. She has been to Portugal many times, right? So when we're talking about our life experience, about something that happened like in our whole life until right now, till this particular point in time, that is also present perfect. But it's not only used about traveling experiences, right? We can use it for anything. For example, I have never seen Harry Potter, right? I just didn't watch this movie when I was a child and still I haven't, right? So that's also my life experience, right? Or I have jumped with a parachute 4 times in my life, right? Again, present perfect because it is about our life experience. It is about all the things we have done till this point in our lives, right? And it can still change, right? Which is also very important for present perfect. We can't use present perfect for dead people, for example, right? If we are talking about someone who has already died, we can't use present perfect to talk about their life experiences because it can never change anymore, unfortunately, right? Okay, moving on. Actions completed very recently plus just. That is also present perfect. I have just come back from work. An action that happened very, very recently, I don't know, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, whatever recently means for you personally, you can use it with present perfect. right? I have just come back from work. He has just left. An action completed very, very recently with just. That's present perfect for us. And one more, actions that happened in an unfinished period of time. What does it mean, unfinished? Well, today is unfinished, right? This year is unfinished. October is unfinished, right? Have you seen Sam today? It is still today, so we use present perfect. Have you seen Sam today? John has worked hard this year. This year is still this year. It hasn't finished, right? So, an unfinished period of time, so present perfect, right? Okay, time markers are like you can read them till tomorrow, right? So there are lots of time markers for present perfect, but again, guys, they are not reliable, right? When you're choosing which tense to use, don't only base your decision on time markers, base them on the functions of all the tenses and, well, on common sense, right? On logic. For example, don't use present perfect for people who died. Okay, moving on to forms. So we have or has, our present perfect, and then ed for regular verbs, and the third form for irregular verbs, right? Why have or has? Well, for I, you, we, they, we use have, right? For has, oh, sorry, for he, she, it, we use has. You know? That's in positive sentences. In negative sentences, very easy. We just add not to the mix and that's it, right? Nothing changes. Have not plus ed or the third form. Has not plus ed or the third form, right? And yeah, you can also shorten them to haven't or hasn't. But not in 19 through 24, right? In those tasks, you have to write full forms. Right, and questions. We just put have or has. Right, sorry, I checked if I switched on the sound. That would be embarrassing. Okay, have or has first, then our subject, then ed or the third form, right? No additional auxiliary verbs, just using the ones we have already, right? Okay, guys, moving on. No, I said moving on. Okay, doesn't want to work. All right, here we go. Present perfect continuous, right? We had present perfect. This is present perfect continuous. Why? Well, let's have a look at our poor Jeremy again. Wait, Jeremy, all right? Jeremy lost his phone. Then he started looking for his phone 3 hours ago, and he's still looking. Poor boy. Oh my God, right? He has been looking for his phone. So he started doing this action some time ago and he's still doing it. When we want to say that something has been happening, like this process was, I don't know, the process is important here, right? Not the result, but the process, right? He has been looking for his phone. We can also add for 3 hours, right? So the situation is the same, right? But we are focusing on a different thing, right? When we say he has lost his phone, we're focusing on the result. He doesn't have his phone now. And when we say he has been looking for his phone for 3 hours, we are focusing on the process, right? Of him not being able to find it and looking and so on, right? Function. Processes that started in the past and are still happening. I have been studying English for 15 years. A lot of you can say this, I think, right? I have been studying English for 15 years, right? I started 15 years ago and I'm still doing it and I will continue doing it and all that, right? Motivational speakers. He has been painting that fence all day. Again, all day, right? So he started sometime in the morning and he's still doing it. He has been painting. So not only about like 15-year gaps, right? But we can also use present perfect continuous for actions that, well, are I don't know, in the limit of 1 day, right? But is a process that started sometime in the past and is still happening. Okay, guys, and one more. I don't want to confuse you, really, I don't, but we can also use present perfect continuous if the activity has stopped, right? So activities that have only recently stopped with a connection to the present. Let's have a look at examples to make it better, to make it, I don't know, more clear. Why are all the benches wet? Somebody asks you. And you're like, well, it's been raining, didn't you see? Okay, so it's not raining right now, but it has been raining up to a very recent past. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, till 10 minutes ago, right? It's been raining. S here is has, right? It has been raining, right? Okay, so guys, again, processes that started in the past and are still happening, that's present perfect continuous. But a process, again, a process, right, that started in the past and stopped recently, we have a result right now. That's present perfect continuous too, right? The benches are wet. It has been raining, right? Why do you smell so bad? I've been running. Right? So imagine, I know, your brother goes for a run every morning, right? And you hate it because he smells bad after that. And so he comes back into the flat and he smells and he's not going to the shower. He's like, I don't know, I'm going to drink milk and have some breakfast. And you're like, why do you smell so bad? And he says, well, I've been running, right? He has been running for some time, right? And he stopped very, very recently. We have the result right now. He smells, right? That's also present perfect continuous. Okay, time markers. For, since, lately, recently, how long? Right, guys, why how long is here? Because when we are asking a question, if we start with how long, we're focusing on the process. That means that we need present perfect continuous and not just present perfect, right? If we ask how many times, that's present perfect. For example, how many times have you been to France? How many times have you been to France? We're asking about a life experience, right? And how many times? So we need present perfect. But how long have you been running for? We're asking about the process, not the result, right? So we use present perfect continuous, right? Guys, we will talk more about the differences between present perfect simple and present perfect continuous, but in a smaller video format, right, where we can focus on these two tenses. We will also compare past simple with present perfect and all the combinations you can imagine, right? But in shorter videos, right, in not when we're talking about all the tenses in the English language, okay? Right, moving on. Forms, right? Present perfect continuous is very simple to is very similar, sorry, to present perfect, but well, we have continuous, so we need to have ing, right? So we have or has plus been all the time plus verb ing, right? If you think about it, then it's very, very logical, right? Because in present continuous and in past continuous, we have the verb to be, right? To form the tense. And well, here we also have it, see? Right? The third form of be, been, right? Have or has plus been plus verb ing, that's our positive sentence in present perfect continuous. In negative sentences, again, nothing too difficult, we just add not, right? Have or has not been doing something, right? And again, we can shorten them to haven't or hasn't. And in questions, don't need to add anything special, right? We just put have or has first, then our subject, then been, and then verb ing, right? If you practice, you can do it, I'm absolutely sure. Okay, we are moving on to past perfect, right? So past perfect, that's not the same as present perfect, right? It is very different. Let's have a look at the forms first. Subject plus had instead of have and has, right? Plus same thing, verb ed and verb the third form, right? I realized I had forgotten my key. Had forgotten is past perfect. And guys, if you look at all of these sentences, I hadn't locked, had they known, right? You can always see another action in the sentence, but in past simple, right? See, I realized, I remembered, before they wrote, yeah? So we always have to have two actions in the past to use past perfect. And past perfect denotes an action that happened before the main action in the past, right? So there are always two actions when we use past perfect. One of them is the main action, right? I realized, or I remembered, or they wrote. These actions are the main actions in the past, and they are in past simple, right? And this action, had forgotten, hadn't locked, and had they known, these actions happened before our action in past simple. It is very important to understand, and if you understand that, you understand past perfect perfectly, right? Because that's the only function of past perfect, guys, right? To denote an action that happened before the main action in the past. That's it. So if we say, I realized I forgot my key, well, for American speakers, that might sound okay, right? But for British speakers, that would be like, what? Because I realized I forgot means that you're putting these actions into a sequence, right? I realized and then I forgot. That doesn't happen, right? I remembered I didn't lock the door, right? First I remembered, then I didn't lock it. What? No, you need to put it before, right? So to put one action before another action in the past, we need past perfect, right? And that's the only function of it. So please do remember it, right? We will practice a lot, but not in this video, guys. This is all about all the tenses in the English language, right? So let's get on it. Right, more examples here. Mary went to the office yesterday. Alex went to the office too, but they didn't meet for some reason. Alex left at 3 p.m. and Mary arrived at 4 p.m. Let's start drawing something here. Okay, so 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. This is 3, this is 4, right? So when Mary arrived at the office, Alex wasn't there. Alex left at 3, right? So he was there all this time, right? This is Alex, right? And Mary arrived at 4, and Mary was there at this time, right? This is Mary. So they didn't meet, right? He had gone home when Mary arrived, right? So Mary arrived is our main action. And when we want to say that Alex wasn't there, we say he had gone home, right? Before she arrived. Yes? So Alex had gone home before Mary arrived at the office. Okay, situation 2. Ben didn't want to go to the movies with us because he had already seen the film. He didn't want, right? Because before he didn't want, he had already seen the film, right? When I came to the party, I realized I had forgotten my phone at home, right? Again, with realized, it's very popular to use past perfect because when we realize something about the past, right? So we realized at this moment in time, but we had forgotten before, right? Before we realized, we forgot our phone at home. So we say, I realized I had forgotten my home. Oi, sorry, my phone at home, right? All right, moving on, guys. Past perfect continuous. Oh my god, how many are there? Lots, guys, right? So past perfect continuous also exists, right? It is a little bit less popular than all the previous tenses that we mentioned, but still, it's pretty cool if we know them, right? Let's check if we have them in our Codificator. Right, guys, we don't have this tense in our, I don't know what to call it in English. Codificator påge. No. So, right, we are studying this just because we can, not because we need to. Okay, yesterday morning, I woke up with the sun. Past simple. It was, past simple, so bright and warm, but the ground was, past simple, wet in front of my house. It had been raining. Guys, when I woke up, it wasn't raining, right? It was sunny, bright, and warm, right? But the ground was wet. So I look at the wet ground, I look at the sunny weather, and I'm like, it had been raining, right? That is a process that was happening before I woke up, and it stopped before I woke up too, right? But it was a process. To denote a process that had been happening for a period of time before something else happened, right? Before our past simple. And the forms are also pretty simple, right? It's the same as present perfect continuous, but instead of present have or has, we use the past had, right? When Mark came home, his t-shirt was all wet. He had been running, right? He had been running for a period of time before something else happened, before he came home, right? And before his t-shirt was wet. Negative sentences, we just add not, right? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Mia went to the doctor last week. She hadn't been feeling well, right? Before she went to the doctor, she hadn't been feeling well. Okay, and question, we just put had first, then our subject, then been, and then verb ing again. I woke up at 8 p.m. yesterday. What? How long had you been sleeping, right? How long had you been sleeping before you woke up, all right? Before our action in past simple. And that's it about past perfect continuous. Only one function, guys. Past perfect and past perfect continuous only have one function, so they are pretty easy if you just understand them once, right? And of course, if you practice, right? Don't forget to use them. Okay. Whew. Are we ready to move on to the future tense, everyone? Huh? Right, I think we even have the time for that. That's absolutely amazing. Right, future simple, everyone. So, future simple is used by a lot of students to talk about everything that happens in the future, but that is not really correct, right? We do have other ways to express the future tense. We will talk about them separately, right, in a separate video. Maybe it will be a stream as well. We use future simple for decisions about the future that are made spontaneously, right? Like this guy here, let's call him, okay, let's call him Jeremy too, right? Same guy who lost his phone. And right now, here, at the moment of speaking in our conversation, Jeremy has an idea. He's like, oh my God, right? So he is making a decision right now about the future, right? So we can say, Jeremy can say, oh, I know, I'll go to the movies, right? A decision made at the moment of speaking, right? The forms are extremely simple, right? Will plus just the base form of the verb, I will go to the movies. In negative sentences, will not or won't for short, right? Plus the first form of the verb. And questions are simple as well, right? First, we put will, then subject, and then again the base form of the verb. So, guys, the verbs don't change at all in future simple, right? We just use the base form of the verb all the time in all types of sentences, right? Okay. Ooh, future continuous, right? So, guys, future continuous is a tense that is used very similarly to past continuous, right? But past continuous is some particular moment in the past. Future continuous is some particular moment in the future, right? That's it. To be in the middle of doing something in the future. For example, this time next week, right? You remember we had this time last week or this time last year, right? For past continuous. So this time next week is for future continuous, right? I will be swimming in the sea and drinking cold orange juice, right? Some dreaming here, right? I will be swimming. I will be drinking, right? So we are imagining that at some particular moment in the future, we will be in the middle of a process, right? This person is definitely planning their vacation, right? I want to do the same thing. I'm sure you do too, right? So how do we form it? Will plus be plus verb ing, right? Nothing changes for any pronoun, right? I will be, he will be, they will be doing something, right? Everything stays the same all the time. Absolutely amazing, right? Okay, future perfect. Want to check our codificator again because I think, yes, I think correctly. We do not have future perfect in our codificator, so you will not meet this tense in 19 through 24, but that doesn't mean you don't need to know it, right? This video is about all the tenses, so you know what you asked for. Okay, future perfect. To be complete, before a time in the future. Examples make everything better, right? We're late. The play will have already started by the time we arrive to the theater, right? So by the time we arrive, something will have already happened, right? Something will already be complete, right? Will have already started, right? So when we arrive, the play is already, I don't know, in full, I don't know, somebody is already dying, somebody's kissing someone or whatever, right? Theater is like that, I think. So the play will have already started by the time we arrive. By is a very popular time marker for by the time something happens, or by Saturday, or by Monday, or by next year, right? Is a very subtle time marker for future perfect, right? I don't know, by what else? By Saturday, no, today's Sunday, okay. By Wednesday, I will have already exhausted all my energy, right? I am optimistic today. And the forms, guys. Will plus have plus verb ed or the third form of the verb for irregular verbs, right? It's a little bit more complicated, but still, again, it doesn't change for any pronoun, right? Have doesn't change into has. In this case, if we are talking about he, she, or it, right? I will have done something, he will have done something, they will have done something, and so on. Doesn't change at all, right? Just need to put the verb into the third form if it's irregular, or add ed if it is regular. That's it. Okay, guys, I think this is the last tense for today. Can you imagine? Right? If you're still with me, you are a hero. Okay, future perfect continuous. Guys, to be honest with you, I have never had anyone use this tense except for maybe Doctor Who, right, in the series, because, well, they're always talking about tenses, times, and all that, right? So in real life, I've never heard anyone use this tense, but we still need to understand it and to know it, right? To, I don't know, to be able to say, I don't know, we're great at English, right? So, to describe actions that will continue up until a particular time in the future, we use future perfect continuous. For example, in 2030, I will have been teaching English for 15 years. I'm not sure why I would even want to say that, but if I want to, well, I can using future perfect continuous, right? In 2030, I will have been teaching English for 15 years. All right, it's an action that will continue up until 2030, right? A particular time in the future. And for some reason, I want to stress the process of it. Right? The forms are also, well, they're very long, but pretty simple, right? And they don't change for any pronoun. Will, have, been, verb ing, right? Again, have doesn't change into has for he, she, it, right? I will have been teaching English. He will have been teaching English. They will have been teaching English. All right. Okay, guys. This has been very interesting. I hope not only for me, right? Congratulations, you're an absolute hero. Now, please do come and study all the tenses properly, right? Because this was just an overview, right? I showed you the functions, I showed you the examples, I showed you the forms, right? But there are so many more things to study about these tenses, right? All the details, all the differences between the combinations, and how to use them properly, right? Not only look at examples, but also use them yourself. So for that, please do come to our school, right? Because we have an amazing program for you prepared. Давайте по-русски, тут слайд по-русски, а то я запутаюсь в конец. 8 месяцев подготовки к ЕГЭ, все времена, которые нужны нам для 19-24, да, для ЕГЭ, и все остальные тоже. Ну, потому что не хочется вас оставлять с тем, ну, с какими-то пробелами, да. Если вы вдруг захотите сказать in 2030 I will have been studying English for I don't know how many years, я хочу, чтобы у вас была эта возможность, да. Ну, то есть можно этого не делать, конечно, но мне хочется, чтобы вы могли сказать абсолютно все, что хотите на этом прекрасном, великолепном, абсолютно вкусном языке, потому что у вас будет свободная речь, да, у вас будет свободная речь в устной части, плюс в письменной части вы будете писать письмо другу, вы будете писать, как это по-русски, written statement, письменное высказывание, да, поэтому на курсе мы проходим большую часть грамматики английского языка. Не могу сказать, что прям все, да, но потому что все это очень много. Вот, но все, что нам нужно для экзамена, точно да. Плюс еще какие-то штуки, которые я не хочу, чтобы вы упускали. Вот. 70 уроков, лекции плюс семинары, да, интерактивные занятия на платформе, плюс личные встречи со мной и с другими преподавателями нашей школы. Домашние задания. Я люблю домашние задания, надеюсь, вы любите домашние задания тоже, потому что, ну, опять, да, мы не можем просто изучить английский, смотря клевые видосики на ютубчике. Нам надо практиковаться тоже. Вот, поэтому мяк, делайте, пожалуйста, домашние задания. Вот. Пробное ЕГЭ ежемесячно уже рассказывала. Сори, это не мое. Прошу прощения, никакой органики у нас не будет. Да, интерактивная платформа для подготовки. Это клево, это супер, это есть. Удобное расписание и список дел. Да, в нашей жизни, особенно в подготовке к ЕГЭ, очень можно сильно запутаться, да, во всех этих занятиях, во всем том, что нужно сделать, поэтому у нас на платформе есть удобное расписание и список дел, да, вот, можно прийти и посмотреть, что вы еще не сделали, что вы уже сделали, какие вы молодцы и все остальное. Интерактивные видеоуроки. Рассказала на фоточке пример того, как это может выглядеть. Это наш преподаватель по русскому, right, и урок по итоговому сочинению. Очень полезно. Домашки с быстрой проверкой. Да, сразу видите, хороший у вас результат или плохой у вас результат. Если что-то не получилось, сразу видите объяснение, почему не получилось, как надо было правильно. И, ну, вот, наверное, еще намек от меня, что надо посмотреть что-нибудь еще раз. Практические семинары обязательно всегда, каждую неделю встречаемся на практических семинарах онлайн, где вы можете задать все свои вопросы, где мы еще раз практикуем все, что нам нужно для заданий ЕГЭ, и не только. Про ежемесячные пробники рассказала. Удобные чаты. Да, удобные чаты с преподавателями у нас тоже есть. У вас есть один общий чат, в котором вы можете пообщаться с одногруппниками, с преподавателями, с кураторами, с кем угодно, с кем хотите. Плюс, конечно, можно написать преподавателям в личку, задать все свои вопросы, которые как-то стеснительно или страшно задать в общем чатике. Система уведомлений. Да, к тому же про I've been busy lately. Да? We are all very busy, especially when we're preparing for these exams, right? So, right, notifications. That's what saves us, right? Я вообще ничего не помню без уведомлений, поэтому обожаю уведомления, всегда ими пользуюсь и вам советую. Right. Все рассказала. Все рассказала, уложилась во время, чувствую себя просто... Right. Guys, I do hope to see you at our school, right? But I will definitely see you here on YouTube, not once, but lots of times more. Please do... Да, поставьте, пожалуйста, нам лайк. У меня немножко уже оскомина с перебивки с русского на английский, но поставьте, пожалуйста, нам лайк, подпишитесь, пожалуйста, на наш канал, чтобы ни за что никогда не пропускать наши клевые видосики, наши интересные и полезные трансляции. Подписывайтесь, ставьте лайк, помогайте нам, мы помогаем вам. Спасибо за сегодня, спасибо за внимание. Еще увидимся. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.